All right, guys, so my numbers should be the same as your numbers. The only thing that will be different is I have essentially completed the project, so I've done all the formatting like you will do after you do the what if questions, but my numbers should still be the same as yours. So up at the top it says you need to calculate the profit you expect to make in each of the 5 months of the 2017 season, and then perform the calculations required to answer several what-if questions. So this is going to be done, essentially, if you were working for this company before this year. So when you own a company, your number one priority is to make a profit. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make a larger profit. What can we do? Should we make these changes? Should we not? Based on our numbers. So based on our current numbers, this is going to be our baseline. When we do something, if the number goes up, we want to do it. If our total profit or loss, this one right here, goes down, we want to not do it. Okay, so talked about this before. The way to figure your profit is you're going to take your total income and subtract your total expenses. And because you use cell references, you should be able to fill those across. So our baseline total profit in cell G23 is $259,000. You should write that down to your answer to number 1. The first what if question is, what if you raise the 1-week course fee to $1,000? So it says to make the changes in the fees sheet. So you're going to go to your fee sheet and you're going to raise the 1-week fee to $1,000. Okay? Because you changed that fee, it says, what if an increase in the 1-week camp fee results in a 30% drop in the number of campers you can expect in 2017? How many campers do you project with the new 1-week fee? So right now we think 50 campers would come with the cost of $900. So now that it's $1,000, we think it's going to be 30% of that. There is a formula on your sheet that you can use. I think the easier formula is if 100% is, 50, if I subtract 30% from 100, I should get 70%. So I'm going to make my formula equals 50 times 0.7. So my answer there is I think that 35 campers will come to the 1-week camp. Part B says, what is your new total profit with the 30% reduction in campers? So I'm going to go back to my budget and look here. Here's my new total profit, $209,000. If I compare that to what I got at question 1, which was $259,000 before I made any changes, my baseline is $259,000. Should I do it? All right. So it says, number 3 says, since raising the 1-week camp fee resulted in your camp reducing its profit, return to the fee sheet, make campers back to 50 and the cost back to $900. So now your budget should look back to normal, back to the start. Okay. Now we want to know, what if I launch a $5,000 advertising campaign? And remember, I think we've talked about this before, or we talked about it earlier. When you launch an advertising campaign, it's not going to be done during the time it's happening. Typically, you're going to advertise before. If you're trying to get people to come to your camp, if it's a sale at Macy's, sure, advertise while it's going on. But if this is a camp where people have to, you know, make plans, attend, get there, whatever, you're going to want to advertise this before. So we're going to want to launch a big advertising campaign in May. The rest of it stays the same. So only May changes to $5,000. How much are you spending on advertising for the season now? So the total advertising expense now is that. Question A says, what if the May advertising campaign leads to a 30% increase in revenue from total camp fees in August and September? So I'm going to go up to these August and September fees. We've already, so this is our total fees here. We think it's going to go, so this is already 100%. We think it's going to increase by 30%. So 100% plus 30% is 130%. So I'm going to go up here to the formula bar, click after the 5, Shift 8, and multiply it times 1.3, which is 130% written as a decimal. Plus, press enter. Click in August and drag through September. What is your new fee income for August and September combined? We talked about this on the ski trip budget. When you have 2 or more cells selected, when you have cells selected that have numbers in them, down here it tells you what your sum is. Write that number down. What is your new total profit with the 30% increase in campers? Write that number down using proper, I guess not punctuation, but do the $, do the comma. Compare it to our baseline profit, which was $259,000. Should I spend the additional $4,500 on advertising? You make that choice. All right. So with these increase in campers, they believe they have to hire another admin assistant. Or they have to hire a full-time executive assistant for $22,000. Okay. Now, when you get a job and someone gives you a salary, they don't just write you a check for that amount at the beginning of the year, or at the end. You don't make any money, and then at the end of the year you make that money. It's divided by the number of months, or the number of, like, how you figure out what you're going to get paid is, when you're going to get paid, and you divide that amount by that. So they're going to pay this executive assistant for 5 months. So we need to add it to the current administration cost. So go up to the formula bar and add an equals before 1200, and then you're going to add, in parentheses, 22,000 divided by 5. Okay? So here's that new number. So the first question says, what is the monthly amount of your administration expenses with your executive assistant? Go ahead and write that number down. Fill it across. What is your new total profit? Write that number down. With the added expenses of the advertising campaign and the new executive assistant, is your total profit still higher than it was in the beginning? So you're comparing it to that $259,000. If it's higher, it's a good thing. Yes or no. I guess that's all it says.